share my experience about FSL in C2. Before I was a C2 signer, I was a new teacher for 6 years in one deaf school in Quezon City. I signed in C2. But even then, I already have doubt about C2 because I started teaching preschool children ages 2.5 to 7. The children came to school with their own language. We call them homemade signs, but now I realized that's not homemade signs, but they're natural signs that the children develop because they are deaf. Okay. Before I was a new teacher, so I was always signing in C2, and I thought that the children were learning. To my recall, maybe they learn, but the question is how much they learn and the quality of the learning process that happen in my classrooms. Okay, and from my readings, I have realized that FSL supports the normal language development of deaf children. It supports their normal cognitive development. Deaf children and hearing children, they follow the same pattern of language development. But deaf children should be exposed to natural language like FSL. FSL is very adapted to the visual nature of deaf people and deaf children. It's clear and it's comprehensible for deaf children because FSL is a very visual language, and deaf children learn only through the eyes. Okay, FSL supports development of higher thinking skills and higher order thinking skills because they don't feel deaf children don't feel inhibited. They feel free to participate in the classroom discussions. They feel very spontaneous in expressing themselves. For me as a teacher, if I control the language production of deaf children by imposing or requiring them to sign in C2, I am stopping their natural thinking processes, and I think I will negatively affect their self-esteem. It will be like low self-esteem. They sign it this way. Okay. FSL affirms the development of their identity, and it brings positive emotions to deaf children, so they come to class more excited, more free or uninhibited. They become more responsive to learning, and as a teacher, I'm happy. Okay. I remember before when I started teaching college students at CAP, okay, from a C2 school, I moved to a college level, and I taught deaf college students coming from different schools in Metro Manila and even from the provinces, and I was really surprised to see different signs, and I like what I saw. That is FSL. But then, at the time, I was not yet skilled in FSL, so I used my C2. But the problem is, I was a teacher. I was very comfortable signing in C2. I thought I was imparting so much concepts and information to my students, but I see their faces blank. And it's very obvious they don't understand me. So that was a problem for a teacher like me. So I asked them why, and they told me they don't understand me. They understand some, but not completely. It's still a problem for me. So I asked one deaf to come in front, and if you understood me, please explain in your way, in your deaf way. Then the deaf signed in FSL. And so fast, the deaf college students understood what he was explaining. I was explaining it for 15 minutes, and the students didn't understand me, but this deaf signed in FSL, and so fast they got. So that was a very powerful realization for me. FSL can support higher level discourse, and there's no other way than FSL. Even from my experience as a counselor, if I sign in FSL, I show the deaf client that I am affirming his deaf identity and accepting his uniqueness, his culture, and I see very positive change. And if I sign in FSL, I model it to the deaf client. He is encouraged to sign in the same way. Use her own way of signing, the deaf way of signing this FSL. And I see that the client feels more free, more responsive, more trusting of our relationship as me as a counselor and this is a deaf client. There's so many positive benefits for using FSL, but maybe some teachers don't realize it. FSL is easy to use. It's more exciting to learn many signs and many concepts signed in FSL. You see them very clearly, very vividly, the meaning comes very complete, and you will feel more happy by using FSL, more excited as a teacher teaching deaf students. Okay. I encourage FSL. It's really best for the deaf, no other way. The deaf. Why? Because SEE-2 is a way to teach deaf children English. The question is, how can we teachers teach English using English? English language teach English language. How is that? I don't think that is possible. We need one language to which the child, the deaf children, are familiar. They know it. They have a certain level of mastery of that language. Then we use that language to bridge and teach English language. The bridge language is FSL. Deaf children are more familiar with FSL. So if the teacher use English, SEE-2, they don't have access to what I am explaining. So how will they learn the structures of English? The best way for me is the English teacher, sign in FSL to explain the structures, the word order, the grammar of English. Use FSL to explain and then write English, because deaf students should be exposed to writing English in its written form. Okay, Not some use speech, it's okay, but mainly, most importantly, through writing English and then explain it in FSL is the best way. L1 is FSL, L2 is English. So we use L1 to teach L2. It will help, FSL will help teachers teach English, written English, faster and more easily to deaf children. And about reading, if children are exposed to FSL, they are allowed to use FSL, they learn more about the world. Okay, just like a hearing child. A hearing child, before he starts reading, he knows a lot about the world because he can hear, he can see. So all avenues for learning is open for the hearing child. So he knows a lot about the environment, about people. So this knowledge, we say the knowledge that is background knowledge. That it's important for beginning reading. We call it emergent reading. Without the enough background knowledge, it will be difficult to teach deaf children to start to learn reading, beginning reading. So if the earliest time deaf children are exposed to FSL and allowed to express in FSL, so as a result, they learn a lot about their environment, about people, about the world, what is happening around them. So they are ready to be taught beginning reading skills. Reading is not only word. There's reading teachers know that learning to read goes beyond just reading words. Before a deaf child can learn to read, they should have enough background knowledge. Okay, so C2 is not for me. C2 is not good to use to teach English. FSL is bridge language to teach English. I know that from reading and from experience. So that is my suggestion. If you want to help deaf children, deaf students to read and to learn to read or improve what we call the literacy level of deaf people, we need to help them, to allow them to use FSL at the earliest time in their life.